dun dun da dun. Da dun dun da dun. Da dun dun da dun. Da dun dun da dun.
It's not Good Morning Corona Chan. I just want to use that intro because of the skulls at the intro, and that's what's going to end up happening in the human race. So allow me to explain. They say, do not feed the bears, okay? Or do not feed any of the animals. If you do enough hiking like I do, you will go to many parks, state, federal, local, whatever. And like, God almighty, don't feed the antelope. Whatever you do, actually, I've seen it. Don't feed the burros, but burros are charming, charismatic, sneaky motherfuckers. They act all cute. Technically, because they were domesticated before. If you see burros, I'll give you a little bit of side. Gappy, get to the point. Shut the fuck up and fast forward. So burros, wild burros, are today the great grandsons and daughters of the great burros of the Western America settling days. And the burros, after mechanics and steam engine and gas engines came along to make mining a lot easier, they didn't use burros anymore. And they just let the burros off in the wild. They thought they died. Well, the burros, especially in the American West, breeded and continued on. But they weren't feral. They would always come to town, kind of like welfare recipients and mooch, like homeless beggars. We'll get to those people later. And they'd be, oh, burros, they're cute burros. You got to feed. They're like little horses. There's a town called Oatman, Arizona. Don't worry. I'll get to the point. Shut the fuck up and enjoy the ride. Okay? There's a town called Oatman, Arizona, where you can go and feed these great grand burros of the original settler burros. Those you're supposed to feed because that's the tourist shtick. That's the town. That's how the town makes its gravy. But around Vegas, there's other wild burros. You're not supposed to feed them. Don't feed the burros. Don't feed the raccoons. I have a friend whose mom fed raccoons. She's been feeding them now for 10 years. Guess what happens? What happens when this woman moves? You know what's going to happen to the raccoons? They're all going to die because they don't know how to forage. I don't know what the life expectancy of a raccoon is, but 10 years, so it's 3 generations of raccoons, I'd imagine. Don't look it up. I don't care. You're not supposed to feed any of the wildlife because they get accustomed to human intervention, and then they learn how to stop foraging or looking for their own food. But what we could call that is work for a living. And we do that. Oh God, whatever animal it is, don't feed it, except humans. Humans are special. We're different somehow. We're not. Somehow we're different. Oh, you can't feed any animal on the planet except humans. Give them all the free fucking shit in the world. And I don't know. It's only the most leftist, or not even leftist, but naive and motherly naive. Oh, yes, you gotta. Oh, just constant babying humans, generation after generation, starting with the baby boomers, and now we got people who are picking their asses like, oh, I have social anxiety disorder. I can't work. There'll be no consequences to this at all, none whatsoever. So let me tell you something that they used to do in every school in the United States. Probably not anymore, because if you sat and thought about it, you're like, hey, wait a minute, aren't we just animals? Yes, we are. It's called the fruit fly experiment. What they would do, and I forgot what the food was, but you get like a couple fruit flies, right? I don't know where they got fruit flies. Now that I think about it, like, where did you go to the fruit fly store? Was there a teacher store? They got fruit flies and protractors and Das Kapital for the kids to read, huh? Teachers. So somehow they got fruit flies. And then you would put them in a jar, and there was some food source. I don't know if it was bread or something like that. What would happen is you were supposed to count the fruit flies on a square on the jar. And okay, there'd be 2. And then all of a sudden there'd be 5, and then there'd be 20. It would just, and then you have the whole thing, depending on how much food you put in, there'd be just a whole bunch of fruit flies. And then they would start to die off slowly and then very rapidly until they were all dead. Now, that is a controlled environment with a limited amount of food. And it was essentially, they're trying to teach you a Malthusian. There's a 50-cent word that won't get you laid. A Malthusian economics lesson. And Malthusian economics is basically the study of limits originally applied to populations of humans where they were afraid we were going to overbreed. My main concern, though, is not the overbreeding, it's the food production. Because what you have all done and just being nice and oh my god, Fifi economics, Janet Yellen economics is to make everything for free. What do you mean they're not working? What do you mean they're all crying and sobbing because they had to work 9 hours? No one would cry and sob on the internet because they had an 8-hour workday, would they? They must have college degrees. Anyway, we're doing the exact same thing. We're feeding the bears, we're feeding the raccoons, we're feeding the burros. And instead of letting these people learn to survive, deny them. And I've always said this, America needs to starve. Key to my success, many keys to my success, but one of them was going hungry, dropping down to 118 pounds because there was no fucking food. Guess how motivated I am to make sure I never starve again. Take a while. Guess how motivated I am to stay warm, because I lived in basements for, gosh, most of my, am I in above? No, it wasn't that long ago. I was still living in a basement. No, but the majority of my adult life was living in basements at a cold climate. You think I'm going to make sure I'm never homeless? I never was homeless, but it was cold. You make sure I got enough money for heat? And all you've done with the welfare state is you've fed the not the tsetse flies, the fruit flies. You fed the raccoons, you fed the donkeys, you fed the bears, you fed the antelope. Oh, prairie dogs is another one. Oh, don't let prairie dogs sucker you in. Those are big out in South Dakota. They're a varmint. They're bad for cattle. They dig holes in the cattle and the livestock in general. Get their hooves caught in the thing. They break the hooves, and there goes an $800 horse. And they don't like prairie dog. But then tourists come in and feed the prairie dogs. I don't know. Those prairie dogs must have a world of food because they just grow all over the place. They're rats. They're big, cute rats. And every little kid, oh, they're cute. Like they got rabies. Don't pet them. They feed them. Never mind. You'll see them at Badlands National Park. The point is, we're doing the exact same overpopulation. I don't mean in a Malthusian way. More a failure to force animals, whether that's human or animals, to survive and forage and learn to work on their own. If you want, you could look at labor force participation rates. You can look at all the bullshit excuses every young person comes up with as to why they can't work. You can look at starting with the baby boomers and all their peace and love, man. And then Gen X, what were we? Were we kind of, I don't think we're any worse, but then definitely the millennials, you guys came in, and Zoomers, oh my God, mental illness. We're born with this trait. We can't possibly. You know what? Gen X was the evil corporations, man. We took that from the boomer. The evil white trash. Dude, man, we're so much different than our parents. No, you're all a bunch of lazy sacks of shit. And all you Democrats out there, that's Democrats. And I might say, see, the Democrats will use other people's money to feed the burros. Republicans will use their own money to feed the burros, and the burros being their children. You will spoil your children rotten. And then you're surprised, like you're this hardworking conservative libertarian Republican type, and you're, well, nothing's too good for daddy's little princess. And you ship her off to some Marxist hate-filled school. She comes back and tells you go fuck yourself because you're part of the patriarchy. You got privilege. Instead of being a man, say, get the fuck out of here. I'm not supporting you anymore. Go learn to work. You're like, oh my God, sweetheart, what I do wrong? Oh, daddy's bad. Oh. How much more money do you need? I know a gal just like this through a colleague. She's some wannabe internet influencer, isn't much of anything, but I know the behind it, like everything has been bought and paid for by her father. She just came out with a video about her dad is like sexist or part of the patriarchy or some other fucking bullshit. And this guy paid for everything for this woman. This woman's like 40. You're enabling. You guys know enabling? Do you know what that is? You're enabling people to live without work. And by the time they're 40, as is the case of this gal, you think she's going to, you're going to have to, if you're starving, you're facing death, you'll do it. You'll learn. Homeless people, unless you're like really whacked out on drugs or something, if there ain't no money for drugs or booze and you're starving and ain't no food shelves, If like the food is legit cut off, they'll learn, oh, there might be a lot of fighting. They'll try and steal and scheme and bum and all that other stuff. But when the day comes, they'll work. If your life depends on it, it will, unless you're like completely loco. But that's what's going to happen. We are having our little fruit fly experiment. And though the food supply is not finite like it was in the fruit fly experiment, there's just this fixed amount. Or rather, I should say, whereas now the food supply is not fixed, it is variable. We can increase it if we want to. It is not infinite. And what it is, I've talked about producers versus parasites. How much more free money and free food do you think we can give to people? Like, forget the welfare or anything. I'm talking like production. How much crops do you think we could possibly grow here? I think we got extra capacity and with farming yields and all that. But the day's going to come where it's not, okay, we could feed people now if enough people work. But what if 80% of the people don't work? And there's not enough rubber manufacturers to create the gaskets to make the combines and the farms go that you can make your food. That drop, just like in the fruit fly experiment, can and probably will happen. Just as communists, every time they disincentivize people to work because everything's free. What do you mean another famine? Get the Ukrainians. Don't worry. They'll just call it the Holodomor will deny it. We'll call them capitalist pigs. But we'll live with our rich parents from where the hell is Vouch from? Berkeley? No, Beverly Hills. Is that where he's from? That guy. And all I'm pointing out, it's a very simple experiment. You can do at home if you're really bored. Just got to go to the fruit fly store. Go ahead, check it out. So that's what's going to happen. And I'm not trying to stop you. I've given up on that long ago. What's fascinating about Americans, especially, but humans in general, is knowing you're going to die, knowing this is not sustainable. You keep on doing it. You'll keep on doing it because it's not going to happen to us tomorrow. And you'll just hope. Just, like fat girls are going to hope someday my prince will come. Well, someday the farmers will never stop growing the food. Try Zimbabwe. Look how that worked for them. Although they just outright took the farms away from the farmers and said, well, it's magic. You just look at the farm. The crops just grow. There's no work involved. Mugabe knows what he's doing. Is he president of that place anymore? I heard they're introducing a gold as their currency. That will be amazing. Be very amazing. I'm just saying this for posterity. I'm just saying, hey, this is what happened. We fed the groundhogs. We did teach the groundhogs to forage. All you by the way, you bleeding liberal hearts, you awful, affluent, white, feminist, liberal. No, awful, affluent, white, females, liberal, something like that. you goody two shoes people, as long as it isn't your money, it doesn't require math. Yeah, you're the ones who caused this, among many other people. But you're the spearhead, as like came from privileged backgrounds. Say, I'm going to save the planet. Are you going to work? No, you're not going to do that. Okay, you're just going to pay other people to like basically have more kids than they can afford, or we as a community can afford. You're not going to champion farmers. You're not going to champion engineers. You're not going to champion tradesmen. But you felt good. This can last a couple generations. It can last, but soon the productive capacity is not going to be able to feed the mouths. And we will have the fruit fly experiment. And I can't wait to be vindicated in history, because I'm playing the long game. Like when I'm dead, look at this guy's video. It's the fruit fly experiment. It doesn't have to be complicated. That's why I want to talk about the fruit fly experiment. This is a very simple concept. Simple concept. Everybody understands. Don't feed the whales. Oh, the humans. Oh, no. Very simple concept. We're just applying it to humans. It will happen. You heard it here first. In case you didn't hear it, maybe they made too difficult or nuanced of an argument. Just want to point out, it will happen. It will happen. Evil capitalist Republican pig. Oh, you just want to kill whatever the babies. Above my pay grade, $5. I'm 16 years in the military, planning on 20. Do you feel like a public pension is a form of welfare, potentially unethical due to the fact that it's printed? No, there was a contract. Where I will draw the line with you military guys is I got a paper cut, 40% disability. That's fucking bullshit, and you know it. And every one of my friends who's in the military, wasn't in the military, knows it. I'm not saying if you got a leg blown off or you got your back real fucked up. I'm not saying that, but that the VA disability, that is absolutely abused, absolutely. But if they said, yeah, you sign up, you get your 20 years, that's on them. Now they've phased that out. I think they got a TSP now, like a 401k defined contribution, which they should have a long time ago, and they did. But no, they did. If you could get your 20, get your 20. I'd rather have it go to the military guys than some piece of shit welfare bum that's never worked. I'd rather have it go. Okay, fine. Say you did get a paper cut, all right, and you're 20% disability. I'd rather have it go to you, who served in the military and got a paper cut, than a fucking homeless bum who's had no intention of working ever in his or her life. But to be principled about it, and what I would be like, we'd be getting rid of all that. And what's sad is, like, look, you can't even trust the soldiers. You can't even trust the military. You guys are going to abuse and take advantage of this? Okay, fine. We're getting rid of it then. And only like if you're really fucked up, are you getting some kind of disability. But it's not how it's financed is not unethical. An entity made a contract with you. You agreed to the contract. There it is. Now, if it keeps you up at night that your pension is somehow contributing to inflation, which in a way it is, maybe, but that's you did. What was it? God darn it. Like if you get friendly fire, let's say you're ordered to attack that hill. You attack the hill. Turns out that you got the wrong order from your commanding officer. Like the intelligence was bad. That's not your fault. It's tragic, but it ain't your fault. Yaks, 10,000 Korean won. What's the exchange rate now? Norwegian, no. Won to USD. Oh, Jesus. What the hell? Let me do USD to won. USD to won. 1,003. Oh, that's $10, $8. Thanks, man. Thanks, Yaks. A bunch of eggless spinsters feeding stray cats, but not taking the responsibility of those cats is a problem in Singapore. SK, or is that Scandinavia? I think you mean Singapore. Yeah, well, those hags and cats are even protected by useless civic group funded by government. All this shit, generally, not exclusive, but generally, you do-gooder women, you nonprofit women, all this shit, your dog rescue, your cat rescue, you help the children, you help the minority, whatever, it's all going to end. It's all going to end. You will have helped no one. You're not helping anyone now. I know a couple drug addicts personally. You know what I've seen over the decades happen? Everyone bail them out, give them the fucking money. Oh, they just need a billion fucking excuses. Why? Because you guys are actually sick, disgusting fucks. Because you value feeling good over the actual well-being of the drug addict. Instead of saying, nope, cold turkey. These fucking spineless judges, instead of throwing people in jail for 10 years, like, nope, out, done, sit the fuck down, and then they could sober up. You people just enable. Not because you love the guy, because you love yourself more. You could give a shit less about the drug addicts. Just feeling good. Oh my God. Oh God, have you ever seen a Karen? Typically a white Karen, but not always. Just run up to the homeless or the poor child, the panhandler. Oh, here's some money. I do good. I'm good Karen. One, usually they're smarter. They're not that destitute. They're really not. But two, you didn't help that person at all. Not at all. But then again, you weren't going to spank your kids. So why would we expect you to spank society? All right, there you go. All right, link below. Enjoy the Decline, Accepting Living with the Death of the United States, a book you can find on Amazon.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.